So in this session, I want to speak about the quality of devotion in one's practice. Now, devotion seemed something very far away from me when I started my meditation practice. I learned my meditation from the Insight School, which is a very dry intellectual sort of school that is something that a lot of scientists and doctors and science-based intellectuals actually ascribe to, and there doesn't seem to be much room for devotion or for anything secular. And this has changed over the years. This has changed because my understanding of devotion has actually shifted as I've practiced. So devotion in a traditional sense that we know it is people going to church or going to a temple or going to a mosque and praising or praying to a higher power or a god. Now, a lot of people struggle with the concept of a god, and there's a wave of atheism and science, and for good reason, because these institutions have not really stood up to their name, and they've not delivered, in terms of the standards they were supposed to uphold. So naturally people have moved away from that. But when they moved away from that, they also threw out devotion. So the baby got thrown out with the bathwater, in a sense. But devotion, as I now understand it, is a quality of heart. So it's not that you're expressing devotion to a third party to appease it. What you're doing is, devotion is a quality that opens up your own heart. And the first step in meditation is to have a happy, what the Buddha says is, a happy mind settles easily. So usually when you go to a monastery, what they do is they'll start with some chanting, for example. They'll praise the Buddha, they'll recollect his qualities, they'll do something on loving kindness, maybe sometimes, or sometimes after. And once the practice is done, they'll do a dedication of merit, which is, you say, whatever merit I've acquired through this practice, I give away. So these are heart qualities. So the point of meditation, yes, is to develop some kind of realization, but it's more than that realization. It's to develop that open quality of heart, in my opinion. The more I've practiced, the more I've seen, because when you have this open quality of heart, life flows better. So also an aspect of all this is gratitude. So gratitude, I think, ties in with devotion. So you might not come in with devotion from the word go. So one of my first experiences when going to a monastery, the first time I visited a monastery, I was very, very strongly against bowing and chanting and things like that, just because of the background that my practice had come from, which was a very strong insight meditation school type of thing. But as I sat there, watching everything, the lights turned down, there was dim light, there was this beautiful Buddha Rupa, golden Buddha Rupa. And, I had my reservations about gold and Buddha Rupa and idols and things like this. And suddenly these monks walked in. And the way they walked in their robes, it almost seemed like their feet weren't touching the ground, they were floating. And the way they took their seats and the way they bowed and the silence, and that contributed to this sense of peace. And the chanting in this, it's like Buddhist chanting is usually done in a sort of a monotone. There isn't music and there isn't like melody, but there is a resonance with it, and the resonance starts to permeate your body. In a sense, those vibrations, you feel it in your body, and it kind of brings you to peace. But coming back to how devotion comes up, and I think in my own case, as I practiced my meditation and I practiced the Buddhist way of sila, samadhi and panya, which is morality, meditation and wisdom. So through your practice, you live a moral life, you are peaceful, and you develop these insights. And you realize all this has been given to me, and it was given to me, and it is given to me. And it's given to anyone without, they don't ask for anything back. You can go and stay in a monastery and you can practice there, but nothing's asked of you. This is just their gift to you. There's free books, there's talks. These beings are putting this out, right? The Buddha put this out, right? He walked throughout India for 40 years or 50 years or whatever it was. I think it was 40 years, just giving this stuff away. How can you not feel grateful for that? No one's asking you to bow down to the historical Buddha, but what you're bowing down to is the wisdom and the knowing that you've been given. The good qualities that you've been given, the gratitude you feel to have gotten this. And that's where the sense of devotion comes. And in a similar way, you don't need to, if the Buddha doesn't do it for you, when you start your practice, this is from my teacher, Ajahn Viradhammo, and he talks about bhakti and the practice or devotion. And he says he's got a row of pictures of his mom, of his teacher, of people he holds dear. And before he begins his practice, he gives thanks, and he bows down and says, may you be well, to all the good forces in your life, all the forces for good. And that opens up the heart. And once the heart is open, then you can really practice. Then the practice comes alive. So I don't think meditation practice needs to be devoid of devotion. Devotion in Zen, monks I've heard would bow down to their sandals to give thanks and to express their gratitude. With the sandals protecting their feet, they would give thanks to the robes for protecting them. And it's this, what devotion is doing, it's bringing the sense of gratitude, and it's bringing the sense of open-heartedness into your everyday activities, And if you go into the world with this open heart, like I said, that energy comes back to you. That's what I believe. I mean, when you see these beings, there's something about them. People who practice for 30 or 40 years, there is something about them that other people want to be near them, that animals want to be there. And there's stories of Saint Francis of Assisi and all the animals coming to him, you know. When I go to the monastery, the pigeons don't fly away as soon as you get close to them, because they know they're safe. They feel that energy. So devotion is bringing this energy into your everyday life. So you can't divorce it from your practice.